Hello, dear friends. Today we are going to speak about Longinus, Dante, and Sir Philip Sidney. We have three heroes in this lecture. The first critic is Longinus. He was born in the 1st century after death, yet there is no specific year for his birth. We do not know exactly his year of birth. Longinus, what is known about Longinus is controversial, but it is agreed that, although I have another view, it is agreed that his work is on the Sublime. In that work, and this is the work that made make Longinus famous, although for me it is not his work. On the Sublime, in that work, there are many poems, and he discussed many topics. The first was the meaning of the Sublime, and the second was who can judge the Sublime. The third, who can decide the proper language and what is the proper language. He arose these questions. Of course he gave an answers, but in our specialization, the questions are more important than the answers. When you say on the Sublime, what is the meaning of on the Sublime? What is the meaning of Sublime? Sublime, according to Longinus, means loftiness and excellence in language. This is Longinus himself speech. The second point, Longinus was or had that ability to speak and write more than one language. So he borrowed from different literary traditions. He borrowed from Hebrew and Latin, and again from Greek. In such way, we can call him as a comparative critic, because he criticized different texts and works of art from different languages and different periods. The other point is that Longinus concentrated on single elements of texts. We mean by single elements of texts, for example, he concentrated on verbs in a specific text. or adverbs or many other points. And like Plato, Aristotle, and Horace, they mostly arose questions about the essence of the texts or of the works of art. And this is a difference. Here is a discrepancy between Longinus and those three writers or critics before. About the one who is supposed to judge the sublime, according to Longinus, is the good reader or the well reader. The well reader can judge the sublime. The other point about the proper language, Longinus defended the use of common language. And lastly, Longinus emphasizes the three elements in the work of art: the writer or the author, and the work itself, and the reader response. How does the reader respond to the text? And these three elements, the emphasized or shedding the light on these three elements paved the way to the appearance of a new criticism and reader response theory in the 20th century. This is about Longinus. As for our second hero or our second critic is Sir Philip Sidney, or Dante Alighieri, before Sidney. First, we should know that Dante Alighieri, born in 1265 and died in 1321. He was an Italian critic, and he had many political relations, and that was kind of a problem to him in a way, yet in another way it was beneficial. Dante was kind of a great critic at his age, and he is well known, of course, because of his political relations that there was in a way or another, but he was a great writer as well. And he was exiled, by the way, because of political reasons and such things. He has been exiled, and he wrote the Devine Comedy in his exile. His masterpiece, the Devine Comedy, in his exile. What we should take into consideration about Dante is that he shared with Longinus the importance of using common and vernacular speech in the writing of texts or in the writing of works of art. In a speech or in letters between Dante and the ruler of Verona, I suppose the ruler of Verona, who was Can Grande della Scala, Dante explained to Scala about his theory in criticism and about the use of vulgar tongue or the colloquial speech in the writing of works of art. The third or the fourth point about Dante is that he defended the use of allegory. And allegory, you know, when you are speaking, for example, about a rose, you can refer to purity, you can refer to love, you can refer to many abstract meanings. So Dante defended the use of allegory, and he enjoyed multiple levels of interpretation or symbolic meaning in the Divine Comedy. He used allegory in the Divine Comedy. Again, what we have here, if we want to make a comparison between Dante and Longinus, we can say that both agreed that the proper language of writing is the vernacular. And this is in reality a new road in the runs of reading, because even we are going to see a school later on is going to appear as symbolism and symbolic writers are specialized in using symbols in their works. We're going to move to our third hero, who is Sir Philip Sidney. In reality, at the time of Sidney, the paucity of literary criticism and theory during the Middle Ages is more than made up for by the abundance of a critical activity during the Renaissance. Sir Philip Sidney, he was born in 1554 and died in 1586. He's considered as the representative scholar and representative of Renaissance England, and he's usually considered as the great English critic and poet. His work, The Defense of Poesy, or An Apology for Poetry, was the crux, was the epitome, was the hub of the literary criticism of the Renaissance, or exactly, to be more specific, the Italian Renaissance. He is the representative of Renaissance. Again, the other point is that he was selective and borrowed from different critics, adding and amending their theories. He borrowed from Aristotle, from Horace, from Plato. He borrowed from all the critics and amended their theories. For example, he borrowed from Aristotle his view about the value of poetry and the importance of poetry, but he went a step further with that point, that he said, since poetry speaks about the probability of what is going to happen, or what happens, and it tells the future and the past, then it is more important than philosophy, more important than science, more important than history. So he gave poetry an importance, and an exaggerated importance, depending on Aristotle's speech and upon Aristotle's theory that poetry is more important than history. According to the law of probability, history only tells what happened, and it speaks about the past. That's according to Aristotle, whereas poetry speaks about what to come, and what happened, and what was probable and probably should have happened, according to the law of probability. Whereas here we have Sidney. Sidney said, all right, and we can say that it is more important than sciences, that because it tells also and because it embodies the truth, because it tells the truth. He went a step further. Although yet it seems to be an exaggerated view. Again, another point, it is said that English tradition in criticism starts with Sidney. And he agreed also on Aristotle and Horace, Plato, that poetry is merely an imitation, yet with the differences. Now, thank you. I wish you enjoy your day, and goodbye.